This lesson is how to create text, which is a word, and make it into a shape or a stitched look, which is usually what embroidery is. That's what we're going to discuss tonight. So basically, I have a sketch here, front and back view of a sketch, and say, for instance, I want to add a graphic to it that is made out of a text word. I can do that in many different ways. I can screen print it on top. I can do something that looks like also like the words are stitched onto the garment, which would be an embroidery machine, and that's what we're going to go over tonight, is to get your text that you did to look like it's stitched on instead of printed on. So basically, and I hope you find the humor in my little graphic tonight. I do think I rock, but just thought it'd be funny to put that image on there. Hope it makes you chuckle. But anyway, that's the goal of tonight's lesson. So basically what I'm going to start with is a word that looks like this, and I'm going to use the text tool to create that. So let me just throw that back there. So basically I'm going to take the text tool right here, which is the type tool. I always call it the text tool, but you're going to click down on it once and let go. And that's how I want you to use the text tool. I do not want you to click and drag a text in a box. That is not the correct way to use the text tool. It's not wrong, it's just going to cause problems for you later. It's just another way of doing it. I want you to take the text tool and just click down once and let go. And when you do that, this Greek word, Laura Epsom, will pop up. And basically what I want you to do is just backspace over it and just start typing out whatever you want to say, whatever your text you want to be. And that's my text. So I'm going to take that, and if I ever wanted to change the font of the text or the size of the text, if you go up to the top of Adobe Illustrator, you can see under the word character. If you click on the arrow, there's a whole library of text available for you, and I can just pull it off so I can see it side by side. I can just find another font that I like and select anything in here, right? So there's the font I like. And then also same thing here is I can put it back on my shirt and I can say, oh, I think that's too small. I want to change the size. And you can change the size through here, or you can also change the size using the black arrow. And you can click on the text and you can hold shift and select it and stretch it out. If you hold shift, it'll keep the words and the letters proportional. If you don't hold shift, you'll start to get more of a skewed look to your letters. You might like that, but holding shift will keep it all proportional when you scale. The really important thing I want you to notice is when you use the text tool in the proper way, your text is going to appear on a line segment. So you're going to see the word Debbie has a blue line segment underneath, and the word rocks underneath has a blue line segment underneath. So if I was going to click on the text with the white arrow, you'll see those line segments very clearly. So basically that's what the text tool does. It just creates the letters and the words on top of a line segment. Now, in order to turn that line segment of words into shapes, like this, for instance, this is the same text, except I turned it into a shape. And when I turn it into a shape, it takes it off of that blue line segment. It actually, when I click on this, you can see that each one of my letters has a line segment. Has a point inside of it. So now, because I turned it into a shape, which I'm going to do for you in a second, is now because each letter is its own shape, I can take the white arrow at any point and I can manipulate the letter even more. If I wanted to play with like the curve handles or the points in it, I can take the white arrow and just start to manipulate the font even more if I want to, after it becomes a shape. So in order to do that, I'm going to use something called Object Expand. So I have to do that first. I have to turn the letters into a shape first before I can turn them into embroidery. So I'm going to click on the words again with the black arrow, and then I'm going to go to Object Expand, Object Expand. And a box is going to pop up right here, and you're going to make sure Object and Fill are both checked, and you're going to hit OK. And when you do that, you hit OK. Now look what happened to my words. They took the words that once were on a blue line segment at the bottom, and now they created a shape that each letter has a bunch of points individually. So that's what Object Expand does. It creates your letters now into a shape that you can manipulate using the white arrow. And the also cool thing is that when your text is a shape, you can use both the fill and the stroke box now to actually create different designs with the text. So if I wanted to change the color of black text it to pink, and I wanted to do a black stroke outline around my text, I could pick another color for my stroke box, and now because it's a shape, you can't do this unless you turn it into a shape. Now I can have a fill color inside with a stroke outline around each word. And so that's pretty cool. So that's an object shape. And that's just another way that you can actually screen print your design too. You can screen print it with two colors instead of one, a pink and a gray color instead of one color if you want. So first I have to turn it into a shape. And then I have to go, I'm just going to go back to the black shape because I want to turn it into embroidery. Once I turn it into a shape, then I can actually go and turn it into embroidery, which you see over here. The way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to take the black position that's in the fill box and I'm going to move it to the stroke box. I'm going to have a no fill color in my fill box and a black stroke in my stroke box. And what that does is now just create a black outline around each letter, but the inside is hollow, has no color. You see white through it, but that's the white artboard showing. It's just a stroke outline outlining the details of each letter. So now I have to do that in order to turn it into embroidery, which is just, embroidery basically is just a stitch machine that creates novelty designs where you can take a letter and you can make it look like a stitch letter or any kind of design and turn it into stitching. So in order to do that, I have to open up Windows Stroke. We have our stroke box open now, and I'm going to click on the word dash line. And that automatically is going to give me what looks like top stitching, which is what one function of an embroidery machine can do. This is just one stitch of many different stitches an embroidery machine can do. So I'm just going to show you the most basic stitch, and there are other lessons in the second level of this class if you ever decide to take it, which will give you more embroidery stitch options in the future. But this is just the very basic stitch that you can do. Change your letters, and now you can see the stroke outline that once was solid is now has a stitch line instead. And basically, when you do this, what I would do to give you a good look is I would probably do a 2-point dash and a 0.5 gap. Those would be my dash and gap numbers. So if you don't have that, you won't get a look like I have right here. And then you can play with the weight of the stroke line. You can make it thin, you can make it thicker. Depends on the kind of look that you want for your embroidery stitch. But I have here actually I think 0.75 looks good, but this is really uniquely to you and when the look that you want. You could do it chunkier, but then it starts to look a little crazy. So you might not want to go above 1 point actually. I think for the best look, I would stay between 0.25 and 1 point to give you the best look for embroidered words. So that's going to conclude the lesson. I just want to scroll down here for a second. So it's 3 different things. You start off with the text tool and you type your letters and they appear on a line segment, and then you object expand them to turn them into a shape, which then you can play with color because each letter is now a shape. And then after you turn it into a shape, you can change the stroke line into a dash line, and that makes the look of the letters turn into stitching, which is also another version of embroidery. So that concludes the lesson.